We would always do at least a few takes exactly as scripted, because the script was very funny in and of itself. It's always nice, and I think Pete will reaffirm this, to have options once you go into the edit room, to be able to choose different jokes and see what elements will fit together better than others. So it's always good to have improvised options. So we all played around, and everyone was a good improviser. Everybody, I think everyone went in with the attitude that they were just going to have fun. As to the post 9/11 mentality, I think Pete might be able to speak to that better than I. I think we really, I think we all went in less with a political or social axe to grind, and more just to have fun and to create a piece of something that would be entertaining and potentially have some satirical qualities to it. But I think you could speak to that.
Well, the original show was born in a Cold War era in 1965, and a lot of the jokes were very politically satirical. So someone asked me when we first started this project if we were going to be doing it as a period piece because the Cold War was so ingrained. And I said, no, as long as we keep our eye on the political landscape, we are in a post 9/11 era. And there's a lot to satirize, especially something that we learned that day is that our government agencies don't communicate that well with each other. The FBI doesn't talk to the CIA and vice versa. And that's something that Mel Brooks had a lot of fun with skewering back in the 60s. And so we realized that we had a whole new kind of ammunition to play with this time. And that's what kind of kept the continuity between the two generations of our interpretations.
Add to that very quickly. I think people sometimes are slow to trust if they've been entertained by a film, and I mean thoroughly entertained, and they've laughed. I think they aren't sure if it's been a true quote-unquote movie-going experience. But you have wonderful examples of comedies throughout history, and especially comedic performances that have been recognized by, you know, the Oscars, the Motion Picture Association, excuse me. I always think of, well, just because I want to talk about her some more, but Meryl Streep, you know, her performance in Devil Wears Prada was, you know, the leading role in a comedy, and she got nominated for an Academy Award. And so I think that there is definitely recognition, probably not as much as you get with dramas, but it's certainly there.
But if I can just add one more thing, you brought up the example of Preston Sturges, and Sullivan's Travels is a great example of, there's a director who kept feeling like he missed his call because all he was doing was comedy and he had to make the great drama, and when he realized at the end of the day that making people laugh was the most rewarding.
I don't think two adjectives do Anne Hathaway justice. She came in and she was the first person that read for the role, and it was the first time I'd ever read any of the lines as Maxwell Smart. And after she walked out, we all looked at each other and thought that was it. Everyone else could ostensibly go home right now. She's so kind and sweet and smart and funny. And she's a great improviser, and that's something we noticed immediately. She was someone who immediately wanted to play and have fun, and and we became good friends, you know, almost instantaneously. So I hold her in the absolute highest regard. Now, what do you think of me?
You're okay. Well, before you first asked, oh yeah, of course. You first asked what spies we tried to emulate when we were children. I actually did watch Get Smart when I was a child, so I used to pretend to be Agent 99. So it's very funny that it's come back into my life. What do I think of Steve Carell? Other adjectives that I've used to describe him have been mocked before, so I'm going to be very, very careful and a little guarded, but I will say I think that he is the funniest man alive. and one of the kindest, most generous people you could ever hope to know. You know, I came into this very inexperienced when it came to improv and this kind of comedy. And I remember going up to Steve one day and saying, you know, I think I'm going to get an improv teacher. I don't really know what I'm doing. I don't want to slow you down. And he just said, you don't have to worry about any of that. You just do what you did in the audition. You just listened and were playful and had fun. And you know, he's the star of a major motion picture. He doesn't have to take time out of his day to calm me down and to build up my confidence. And the fact that that just came naturally, he didn't think twice about just being that generous, I think speaks volumes about him. And fast runner, nice strong thighs, big eater, you know, just an all-around wonderful guy.
No, I'm actually not nice at all in my real life. I'm very hard to deal with, very difficult. You know, it was important for me to do more than just action. I knew eventually I wanted to do drama and do comedies, and I've always felt, you know, it's always very special and unique when you can make people laugh and feel good. And I know that the other actors up here with me can attest to that, and I always find it very gratifying when you can make a great comedy. I knew eventually I wanted to get there, and it all comes down to material. I've been really fortunate to have some really funny material in the past, and developing funny material now for the future. And you know, again, it's very easy. To me, there's nothing like a great comedy.
Il problema di Occhi era come fare a convincere i produttori e i registi.